Welcome to the Fresh and Fired Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Marshall, here with my co-host, Haley, who decided to return from paradise, even though, she didn't really want to ever come back. Yet here she is, hanging out with us today. So, welcome back, Haley. Let's get fired up.
Let's get fired up. Yes, I am back from Mexico, and I spent a week in paradise, and I'm not super happy to be back in the cold. Okay, hear me out. The only thing that I miss is the beach and the weather. I am very, very glad to be back here on the podcast. I'm really glad to be back to work and,
Because you missed me. You missed me while you
I
were in
missed you
Mexico, right?
tremendously. I think I thought about you every single day when I was there. I was like, gosh, I miss Emily so much.
Only because I'm messaging you back to your stories being like, I'm so jealous of you.
Rightfully so. It was so great. We stayed in Cancun, and I hadn't been over to that side. I've only been to Puerto Vallarta, and oh my gosh, the beaches were chef's kiss, just like crystal clear water. The only thing I would critique about the beaches would be that there was no waves. And I am an avid, whenever I go to Mexico, I love boogie boarding. Like, I'm very like bombing around in the water kind of person. And I didn't get to do that because there's no waves. So that's the only critique that I had. Otherwise, sand was amazing. The water was crystal clear. People were amazing. The resort was awesome. I have no complaints.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm happy for you. Do you feel refreshed? That's what I want to know.
I feel refreshed. I kind of planned it so we would come back and it would be Christmas time. So it's, like the post-vacation blues. So you don't have as much of the post-vacation blues because it's Christmas. And I love Christmas.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Exactly. But yeah.
That's a good idea. It's interesting. I find Christmas, I don't know. I have mixed emotions about Christmas. I love Christmas itself, but I find the time of year, I think I get really reflective.
Okay. I was gonna say stressful because like I can definitely feel the stress coming on. Like I have not done any Christmas shopping. Don't know what I'm getting people. Everyone buys whatever they need because we're all adults now. Like it's a very weird transition period where it's like I don't have kids, so it's not as exciting.
I don't know what to buy. You should just fly over to Peace River and watch our kids.
I should have a little festive holiday over there in the snow.
Right? It is not Mexico over here. It is cold.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things I find when I say reflective, I think it's because you're coming towards the end of the year. I also don't live close to my extended family. And we have both my husband and I have big extended families. And they do a lot of things together. So I have to really watch myself for feeling like missing out type of feeling. And really embrace I think it's a good lesson actually embracing like where your feet are and like making plans with friends and focusing on our kids and the community and like the things that are just the good, beautiful blessings you have right here in front of you in your life, as opposed to being like, oh, remember when we used to do this, or they're meeting up here, but we can't go. Like, I feel like you kind of always have that choice, right? Which one you're going to focus on.
Oh, for sure. And it's definitely like Christmas time is exactly when you do that. Like you reflect on that thing and especially because people do a lot of different, there's dinners, there's traditions, Christmas markets, there's traditions, there's decorating the tree, and it's very family oriented around the holidays. So I definitely get why you might get some FOMO around that. And it's difficult, I'm assuming. And I feel like I heard this statistic that like Christmas is the most stressful time for everybody, which I can kind of get. But it's also, I think, where you reframe your mindset around it, where it's like you can focus on all the things that you have to do and focus on all the stress and missing out and all of that. Or like you said, you can focus on, where your feet are and how many blessings you actually do have right in front of your face, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a good time to think about what do you need to pare down too.
Yeah.
I still fall into this trap, but I'm learning. I'm a slow learner in this area, but I am learning to stop and go, what can I handle and what can't I handle in certain time periods? And I find I get this a lot having, because I've got Frexy going on, right? We have the clinic still rolling and our employees there. We have our 4 children who do sports, which actually extracurricular sports kind of all come to a close on December 14th or something like that, like mid December for a Christmas break. So
Mhm.
basically like 3 weeks with no after school sports. And I'm really looking forward to that because I find it's like get up, go to school, sports after school, get your homework done. Like it's very like one thing after the other. And I often get, I don't know how you do it all because I think what happens is, we have a social media presence and we have the podcast and we have all these other things going on. And I tend to be a fairly joyful person. So it would appear like, oh, she has all this stuff going on, but she's just happy. Like, don't get me wrong. I have my moments where I'm like, it's the end of the day and everyone's gone to bed and I'm like fried and I'm
Yeah.
just like, what am I doing with my
Yeah.
life? I can't do this, which is not necessarily true. But just to like, be really open with, I definitely have my moments where I'm wondering if I'm getting burnt out. That's one thing.
Oh
And the
yeah.
second thing is when people say to me, how do you do it all? I'm like, I don't. I don't. I always hit these points, these forks in the roads where I'm like, what do I need to pare down on? And a
Yeah.
lot of it even just comes down to like emails, quite frankly.
Yeah.
There are times where like, nope, didn't read that email. Shoot, didn't email that person back. Like I will have days where I like catch up on that stuff, but I
Yeah.
definitely don't just like keep up with it all the time.
Yeah, I totally feel that too. I was actually crying last night because I'm like, when I got back from my vacation, I had this stack of work that I have to do because I was like letting the notifications pile up, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna deal with that later. I'm vacationing right now, but then you get back to it, and it's like this huge overwhelm of stuff, and um definitely highlight reel that people see, and that's why I actually really love this podcast because I feel like people can get so much more of the story than just like little clips of your life.
Yeah.
So like you can be so much more open with like burnout. Like I've definitely felt that multiple times, and I've also questioned how Emily does all of this stuff because like whoa girl, you are just busy busy busy. But like you said, like sometimes you just take a step back, you don't answer an email, um and you know what, you just keep going. You just keep
Well,
going.
you keep going, but then also the partnership. Like, I can't say
Yeah.
it enough because my husband, John, is not on this podcast. So you don't often get his side of the story. But
Mhm.
when it comes to like Black Friday sales for Frexy, like we divide all of our business stuff, we divide and conquer, and we try to decide who can do what skill more efficiently. And we have the luxury. I'm very thankful that we both also have chiropractic licenses. Like we are both chiropractors for our clinic. So, for example, I will do all of our social media stuff for Frexy. But let's say I'm like, okay, I kind of have some videos ready to go. I'm good to go. What I don't have ready to go is my email campaigns. He spent a bunch of time figuring out like how to set up the emails for Frexy to go out. And he actually really enjoys making the templates for them. So let's say we hit a point where I'm like, okay, crap, we need to have these emails ready to go. He's like, don't worry, I can do the emails. You go to the clinic today. So I will just go to the clinic. He'll finish building out our email campaign, get that set up. He's at the clinic the next day. I put up stuff on social media. Like, so it's very like this back and forth dance. And I think, I mean, I can't speak to someone who is in a position of if you're single at this point and you're really feeling like, well, it's just me. So what do I do? Then I think you have to go, okay, well, what can you handle? Do you need to hire someone if it's a
Yeah.
business setting, right? But if you are in a relationship and you've had sitting down and having those crucial conversations of figuring out like where are we going? How are we doing this together? It's all being done together. That is how it works. And so my husband and I had this conversation last night where we will hit these what are they? I don't know what to call them. Like these checkpoint moments that are like, is this going well or is this not going well? And when we have the moments that are not going well, my husband used this great example last night. He's like, you know what? We have these times in our life where I feel like we're in the same boat and we're both rowing together and we're rowing the same direction. And then when things start to feel like they're falling apart, I feel like we're in different boats and we're both rowing and we might still be rowing the same direction, but we've like gotten in different boats and we're now like not really connected. The more we
Mhm.
stay connected in our communication, the better it is. Like it's just so much better. I can't say it enough.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I think like that conversation brought up some stuff for me. Like a lot of people have a hard time asking for help or asking their partners for help, and I see this a lot in my clients. Even just like mundane things like housework or whatever the heck, like not necessarily in a business setting, but people have a hard time asking for help and view it as like a weakness. But you mentioned everything works so much smoother when you're all connected and your communication is good, and you're delegating tasks that maybe someone else does better than you, right? And like, what's the goal? I feel like we have to bring it all back to like, what's your goal here? Is it to, prove your ego and try and do everything all at once all the time? Or is it to actually move in a direction that you want to go and not experience burnout? Because I think everyone knows that like the more you put on the plate, you can't just continue to stack more things. Eventually it's just going to be tumbling down on you, right? So I think communication and just having a support system um, is so big, and then just asking for help when you do need it, and being self-aware enough to put your ego aside and actually ask. Yeah.
Do you think that, yeah, I'm really genuinely curious about this. Do you think that people don't ask for help because they are afraid? I think there's two reasons. What you said, it could be your own ego, like you just want to prove yourself. Or do you think there's a fear of conflict? Like this conflict avoidance, like if I
Oh, for
bring this
sure.
up, this could lead to some sort of argument or fight.
Oh, for sure. I think that's another avenue that people could have some fear around it. Conflict, or like, what is someone going to think of me? Or like, what kind of domino effect is this going to unravel? I think is a big one too. But definitely, I think both of those are very valid.
So, how do you think that you overcome that or go to that? Because I'm thinking from a female perspective. So, for women, if you're like, okay, I really want to bring up something that's been bothering me or something I need help with to my husband, but I'm not sure how this is gonna go, right? There's a level of uncertainty, of course. What I think is if you ask yourself like what is your side of the equation, because I think women can come at things like, oh well, I'm doing this and this around the house and da da da.
Like a
And
competition kind of standpoint where it's like, you owe me or something
yes,
around those lines. Yeah.
versus really actually looking at what are you doing, what is your partner doing, and being appreciative and empowering to that person. It can be really hard to do, especially if you feel like you've been bottling something up for a long time.
Oh yeah, and I think it's a double-edged sword too, where it depends on who your partner is, right? Like, I'm
Hmm.
assuming John is very like receptive, and he listens, and like you guys tackle things logically and more from a standpoint of like, you're not fighting each other, you're on the same team fighting the same battles, like
Yeah,
but
sometimes, but I will say
yeah.
this, something that's gotten better than it was like, let's say 5 years ago, is when we do get into those points where we're really butting heads and we're straight up fighting about something, disagreeing, we have learned to resolve quicker.
Mhm.
So it's like this might affect the morning until we hash this out, or this might affect our day, but we are not going to bed angry.
Yeah. And
And
like
and
allowing
that's
those.
huge. So it's like not
Yeah.
assuming you're never going to disagree, but both resolving that you are going to come to a solution and you are going to resolve it within that day. That has been a game changer. And also looking at where have you grown.
Mhm.
So the other day, John and I got in a disagreement about something. It was actually more business and business growth and where we're allotting certain amounts of our time, kind of like what we're talking about right now, and where we're also investing our money because we have two businesses. So which one's getting more focus? And so we got into a disagreement about it. And afterwards, when we resolved, I was like, hey, I actually didn't get as angry as I usually do. Like I was still angry. I was angry, but I didn't act as irrationally. And I was like, that's good. And he's like, yeah, him too. Right. So, and he was able to, we actually had a family discussion about it. We discussed it with our kids because we were like, listen, you can't expect to have a loving relationship and it just have zero disagreement or conflict.
Yeah.
Because what that is I think that's when people just sweep things under the rug and it builds up over
Yeah.
years and years and
Or
years.
like being a pushover, and then the resentment builds up, and then it just explodes.
Yeah, it
Eventually, because
does.
there's a straw that breaks the camel's back, and then it's like done. Where you could have just brought it up in the moment and resolved it there rather than let it build up. And honestly, I think that's both on both of the people in the relationship. Like,
Totally. It
yeah,
is.
yeah, my past relationship, that was definitely something that I did where it was like, oh, it's fine, like I'm not, it's fine.
But it
And then
wasn't fine, right?
it wasn't, and then it builds up, and that was partly my fault for sure, because then I get really resentful, and then eventually I'm like, you know what, I really want to break up with this person, but this person has no idea why.
Right.
Like,
Because you just held it all in.
because I was just internalizing everything, and it's like, well, that's on me. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, no,
But it's hard stuff. And I think it's really applicable to this time of year because asking yourself when things are building, when it
yeah,
comes to whether it's business or if you're working in someone else's business, whatever industry you're in, or you're at home. You might be at home, but home is like a business in the sense of there's so much to do to run your household. I just think about just calendars alone, right? With kids and all of that. And I think about, okay, you said a really good thing, Haley, is like, what is the goal? Like, what is it that you actually want to achieve? And it could be a financial goal, but to me, it's more of an environmental goal. That's what I think of.
yeah,
I said this to my husband. I'm like, listen, I want our household to be a peaceful one that is filled with peace and joy. Peace, love, and joy, which is like that's Christmas, right? Let's just take that throughout the whole year. Peace, love, and joy.
yeah.
And how do we accomplish that? And what does our household need to accomplish that?
Yeah, exactly. And then also, what do you need to take away in order to accomplish that? Because I feel like a lot of people can just like go through the motions, keep doing everything that's like comfy or easy or that you've been doing forever and ever. And it's actually causing more grief and more chaos around your household or
Yeah.
in your business or whatever. But
Adding things, feeling like
yeah,
you need to keep adding things and saying yes to everything is not
exactly.
the
And I
way to
think
do it.
that's also something that I see a lot in my clients, where it's like they think that they need to just keep adding to their to-do list. Oh, I need to do more workouts. I need to meal prep and just put everything on top of everything, when in reality they need to like take something away, like a habit that isn't serving them right now, and replace it with something that's more helpful. So rather than piling everything on, because everyone only has 24 hours in a day, right? And the
Are you
more,
sure? No, I'm kidding.
well, you might not. Just depending on your schedule. I don't know how you do it, Emily. I don't know how.
No, I'm
But
just
yeah,
kidding.
typically they're like watching Netflix, scrolling. Scrolling is a huge one. Like people spend like hours and hours
I know.
scrolling on like social media, and then it's like, oh shoot, I need to add more workouts to my schedule, but I have no time. I have no time to do this. Where
Yeah,
it's like you do, you just need to swap it with something that's more helpful.
it's so true.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something with this topic. I don't know if I can actually find it right now, though, but I had this email come through, and I feel like it's a perfect example of what we're talking about. And speaking of emails, I was just organizing. I was just organizing my email, Haley. This is revolutionary.
Okay.
Okay, so I have not done this with my personal email, but with my Frexy emails, I have all of the folders along the side of my email
Mm-hmm.
and with like different names of companies I've worked with or customer conversations or whatever. And as soon as something comes into my inbox, I read it or I deal with it, I move it to the folder of where it's supposed to go. And so my actual main inbox is usually empty.
Oh my gosh.
It's the best feeling. Okay, so I started working on doing this with so I have 3 emails. I have my Frexy email. That's the one that's on point right now.
Mhm.
My dremilymarshall.com email, which is in transition to being organized, which feels really good. And then I have a personal email that I use for the kids' school stuff and sports. And it's a mess. And so I find it fun. And I'm like, yeah, I miss emails in that account. And so it's interesting because I feel like because I'm now experiencing the benefit of the organization with my work emails, I'm like, this is amazing. I should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, I got to do this with my personal emails because I coach at the gymnastics club, and literally the
You
parents will
coach
come up to
too?
me.
Girl, you coach too?
Oh yeah, I coach on Wednesday and Friday nights. And so, but my kids are in that class. My girls are in that
Okay.
class. So
Okay.
this is a paired with like quality time with my girls. And then I also just coach the rest of the girls. It's super fun. I love it. But it's interesting because I will have parents come up to me and be like, what's so there's something going on at the club on this day. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a coach, but I like haven't
Look
read
at
the
the
email.
bulletin board.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, did you read the email? Because in my head, I'm like, I don't read the email.
Oh my god.
Anyways, my point is putting in systems can be
Mhm.
super helpful. They're hard to stick to. I don't always stick to them. I will start with a system and then I will do it for a while and I'll be like, this is working great. I should do this all the time. And then I just stop.
Yep, life gets in the way. What I've really loved so far is my whiteboards because I'm very like I like to write things down. I've tried the Google Calendar and it just doesn't work for me. Like I write
Okay.
things in my Google Calendar and I never look at it and it's like, "Oh crap, I
Wait a sec. I
forgot
always
about it."
add our podcast invites to
And
the
you
Google.
know what? You know what? I just show up here hoping that you're going to show up too.
That's hilarious and great.
And if you don't, then I'll text you. And if I don't show up, then it's because it wasn't scheduled for 8 a.m. on Thursday.
I love that. That's great. So, what do you do with your whiteboards?
I write down everything that I need to do on like a weekly basis. So typically I have I have protocols that I need to follow in terms of like my social media and then for my clients and things like that. So everything that's like fixed, I will write down and it stays on my whiteboard forever and ever because I have to do it on a Wednesday. I have to do that on a Monday. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And then from every week, I'll write everything that I need to do that week. So rather than planning out my whole month or my entire year or all of that, I just go week to week. And it's worked so much better because I love writing things.
That's great. There is something with writing too that
Yeah.
psychologically like gets it to stay in your brain that you
Yeah.
actually remembered that you did it.
Yeah, and it's so much more fun. I get to write with my little dry erase marker. Like it brings me back to my elementary school days where
But also you're such a trainer because think about like the trainer like I'm going to write out this workout on the whiteboard.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. I
great.
write everything out before I put it on my computer. This is
That's
so it's
awesome.
double the work, but it's so much better for me. I just learned so much better.
I feel like that's part of it is figuring out what works with like what works for you, but
Mhm.
then also looking at what's the most efficient system. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
In
kind of
terms of
like
my
this.
email, currently I'm looking at my email little notifications, the little icon and it's got the red how
Yes,
many emails you have. Guess how many emails I have unread?
1,000.
14,000.
Okay, that's how John is too. John, I don't know what his is at, but it's if to make you feel good, I'm pretty sure it's higher than that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you live like this. I'm
Yeah.
always trying to get that badge to go away. I don't want to see the badge.
I know. I'm just like, I don't know. That's a problem for
Shoot, we're
another
gonna get
time.
off. Great. I feel like I gotta organize my. You don't need to organize your email. It's
I
okay.
need to delete some emails. That's what I need to do.
Just delete them all. Just start a new account.
Yeah. I wish I could. No, people already have my emails. I've got my Spotify linked up to my emails, so I gotta keep it.
Oh, shoot. Well, it's one of those things where it's like I'm giving everyone permission to click that unsubscribe button. Except don't, if you're on the
Not
Frexy
on
email,
Frexy and not on mine.
yes,
Okay.
not on ours, because
We
we
have
provide value.
Yeah, we're valuable. Okay. If you're listening to this, it means that you think we're valuable because you've listened for 26 minutes now.
Yeah, so stay subscribed. And here's the deal, okay? If anything, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I hope you're watching this on YouTube. I think our subscription number's going up, Haley.
It is. We've got 28,000 subscribers.
28,000. 28,000. We are over 10,000 downloads, though,
Yeah.
for the podcast itself. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
I think small little growth increments is so fun. And honestly, I'm sure you guys can tell just from our conversations, we don't do this for the subscribers. We don't do this for that. We do
We
this for
don't? No, I'm kidding.
fun. Well, that's the end goal. That's the goal that we're not telling anyone. That's the vain kind
Oh,
of goal
yeah.
that we're going
The
for. You
vain
know,
goal.
like how people are like, oh, I don't care if I make money and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. But I want to go on here. I don't
I
care
wanna
if we
be a
make money,
millionaire,
but I want to go on
so-
vacations, right?
Yeah, I want to be free, but yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So go subscribe to every single
subscribe.
channel. Follow us on social
Of
media.
ours, but unsubscribe from everyone else on your email list.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have a cool, calm life, only subscribe to our email lists. And I promise you, with my whole heart, that your life will be 10 times better than it is right now. So.
Yeah. Okay, you know what's so funny too? I was thinking about circling back around to this time of year. And we were kind of talking about stressors and time and what to cut out, what to keep in. And it was funny because almost every year we go and chop down a Christmas tree. Like we go find a tree, we chop it down, we pick a good one, and it's this big thing. Well, this year, because we were both feeling strapped for time, John was like, I don't know, we got this going on. We were serving hot chocolate at the Santa parade in town. Like we just said, we have a lot of extracurricular type things or community events. And so he said, I just don't see where on the calendar we have time to go chop down a Christmas tree. I'm taking the kids. I went to the clinic for the day last Saturday. And then John's like, I'm taking the kids to the grocery store. We're just going to pick out one of those pre-wrapped ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. It's the worst Christmas tree we've ever had.
It's not
like,
symmetrical?
It just, all the needles are falling off and it's like so barren. It's like the Charlie Brown. They thought it was.
Do you see mine?
It's like that, but it's supposed to be a full-size tree. Anyways, so
I like it.
Maybe if you're trying to create space and time, don't cut corners on the Christmas tree.
If you want to have a holly jolly Christmas, don't cut corners. The tree is the main event, people. Actually, I feel like everyone's cutting corners this year. Oh my gosh, my mom too. She didn't even whip out the tree at all.
Oh.
Usually it's like it's a big tree. I should send you a picture of what her living room looks like. It's
Please do.
Oh my god, there's lights everywhere. And
I feel like I know your mom, but I don't know your mom.
Oh my god.
You should have her on sometime.
I know. She'd be just beside herself. She'd be like, what do I talk about? But
great.
you know those little towns that people make with the.
We should have my mom on too. We should do a mom's episode. Sorry.
On Mother's Day. You're a mom. I'm not a mom though. I'm the only one who's not a mom.
Well, there. Get on it. No, I'm just.
Tell my boyfriend to freaking propose to me first.
Yeah, propose. If you're listening to this.
Mexico.
What's your boyfriend's name? Sorry, I feel like I should know this.
Justin.
Yeah. Justin, if you're listening to this.
Haley and Justin.
And Justin. He's going to be like, is he actually going to listen to this and be like, oh.
I don't know if he even listens to this. He better support me.
Well, send this YouTube link to him.
YouTube, yes. And he has to subscribe too.
Yeah, so this has been exciting. I feel like we have some good things coming up. We wanted this episode to be a little bit more light and fun and just to encourage you to be like, it's okay if you don't have it all together and all perfect in your mind like you think it should be this time of year. I think it's about learning to be adaptable and also realizing that every year is going to look different. Because I think that people really hold on to traditions, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but hold them loosely in the sense that it's not always going to stay and look exactly the same each year. And I
Yeah.
think when you go in knowing that, or at least acknowledging it, it's going to feel less stressful and more enjoyable in the moment.
Exactly. And less of a disappointment. Like, I feel like if you hold really dearly and you get really, really excited for all of the things and all of the traditions and they don't happen, then it can be like depresso mode.
It can be, yeah, it can be very defeating and
Yeah.
disheartening. And I think it's okay to feel those feelings. We've talked
Yeah.
about that before. Feel the feeling, but don't get stuck in the rut. I think that's the difference.
Hmm.
Feel the feeling and move through it rather
Yeah.
than staying in it.
Exactly, because it likes to breed, and like the more you stay there, the harder it is to get out of it. So the less attachment
Mhm.
you have towards, and we've talked about this before, like attaching your self-worth or attaching your happiness to things outside of yourself. It's always like anytime, anywhere that can just get ripped away, and then you're left with like, nothing. So always, always, always have and find happiness within yourself first, right?
Well, yeah, and asking yourself, what is it that brings you joy, but can also be helpful for others? Like, I think about one thing I look forward to every year is the children's Christmas pageant at church. I always help, or sometimes I, I know, right? Look at your smile.
The
I actually,
pageant. Oh
it's like
my
a little
god.
pageant, and
Tiny boo
it's so exciting. So we've been practicing on Sunday mornings before mass with the kids, and they're just so cute and they say the most hilarious things. And half the time it's like a gong show. Like the like nobody's following when their cue is, and they're like there's a kid like rolling around in the ground in the corner, and you're like, what are you doing? You're
Oh
up,
my
come on.
gosh.
You know
That's
what I
so
mean?
funny.
But so we've been practicing, but I am so looking forward to it, and they really enjoy it. And then there's a choir, and I think they can learn to sing, and I just love that sort of stuff. So that's the
I
thing.
am super excited for that. Honestly, myself to have the little toddler kids because well, when we went to Mexico, and there was this big mayhem thing going on with WestJet. Love me some WestJet,
Yeah.
and the people in front of us had two little kids, two little toddlers, and the older sister was like dragging the little brother on the ground by his feet, and the mom was just like, guys, stop, and, and then they like scurry and like go behind her. I was like, oh my god, that's so adorable. I cannot wait for the mayhem.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, this makes me think of when you said the mom was like, guys, stop it.
Yeah.
So there was like this meme reel that one of my friends reshared on their story the other day, and it made me laugh so hard. Okay, so it was what's the Sound of Music, the Sound of Music, and the title on the top was like the mom I pictured I would be, and it's like Maria being like, uh,
Oh, a dear, a
yeah,
female.
no, but they were on the bed like my favorite thing, and the kids are all in the bed and they're just having this like glorious time, and then it clips into I think it's like Judge Judy. Is that sound familiar?
I love Judge
Yeah.
Judy.
So it
Judge
clips in her,
Marilyn
and
Monroe.
and then it's like the mom I actually am, and she's just like, "Shut up, nobody talk. I don't want to hear it." And she's like yelling things and like pointing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so true."
Oh my gosh, Judge Judy is ruthless. My parents watch it and I love it.
Ruthless, right? But
I
I'm like,
always see clips of that on the internet, and I'm like, yes, I watch all the way through, and then it's this little teaser of like, oh gosh, why didn't you pay your rent, guys?
right? Well, and it's just so funny because I feel like when you have kids and on vacation, you have this glorious idea. You're like, oh, it's going to be so fun. It is fun. It
That's
is
me
fun.
right now. That's me right
Right,
now. I'm like, oh
right.
my god, so
But there's
glorious.
it is really fun, but there's so many moments that come with it that are just like insane that you're just like, stop it. Everybody come now. And like, did we just almost lose a kid? Or like it's totally
The real
chaos.
life Home Alone situation.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Oh, by the way, do you rewatch the Home Alone movies every year?
Oh yeah, we already did that.
Okay,
I
we
make.
haven't done it yet, but we have to.
Oh gosh, I make Justin do that every year,
What
all
about
the
White
time.
Christmas?
Sorry.
White Christmas.
Oh yes,
Yes.
Miracle on 34th Street.
All of those.
Heck
Okay,
yeah.
good. So see, chop other things so you this is supposed to be like a health and fitness podcast. Chop other things so you can watch Christmas movies. No, but you could pair Christmas movies with activity.
Oh, for sure. I sometimes even
I
like go
don't.
on my little walking pad and then I'll watch The Ultimatum. That's
Oh
the
my goodness.
actually little life hack for everyone who hates doing cardio or like needs to get their steps in. Get a walking pad. Number two, have like one of your favorite shows and not allow yourself to watch it unless you're on your walking pad.
That's a great idea.
So every day I look forward to like hopping on my walking pad because I'm like, yes, I get to watch a new episode of The Ultimatum.
And then you walk.
And then I walk during it. And then after it's done, done. Cut the episode
Yeah.
off. You are cut off, Haley. So sorry. Wait till tomorrow.
That's awesome. You know what you could even do? You could put us on YouTube on your
Oh,
while you're on your walking pad.
you know what? Scratch The Ultimatum. You don't need to consume all of that BS on TV, okay?
Yeah. You need
Actually
to
put
get
it
fired
aside.
up.
You need to
Fired
fire
up,
it up.
be encouraged,
Yeah,
get your body moving on your walking pad
exactly.
while just increasing your peace, love, and joy.
Exactly. And knowledge.
And
Knowledge is
knowledge, of
power.
course.
Because
Knowledge
we're a
is
wealth of
power.
knowledge.
Oh, this was great. Haley, I feel like you have other things to do today, and I'm guessing I do too. There's probably something on my calendar, haven't checked yet.
Check your emails.
Oh, I'm going to finish organizing those suckers, and it's going to be great. I'm going to text you after too.
Send me a picture. Send me a little screenshot. Email me a
Oh,
screenshot of your email.
I will. I'm going to show you, and you're just getting your mind's going to be blown.
Oh my gosh, I'm ready.
All right. Well, share this episode with a friend. We are done droning on. We know that you're awesome. And if you have any of those feelings of overwhelm or disheartenment, any of the feelings that where you feel like you just don't even want to do this season, let this be your pick me up and reach out to us. By all means, if we can help you with any sort of resource or encouragement, we're happy to do so. And in the meantime, make sure you subscribe if you haven't. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And be free, feel fresh, and live on fire.